Welcome to the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast featuring mountain home real estate broker Robert Martin, who has over 25 years of experience assisting clients reach their goals and move forward. Tune in each week for a dynamic conversation with experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents that explores the ins, outs, and specific nuances of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home in Evergreen, Conifer, Bailey, and surrounding areas to catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.
Thanks for tuning in today on the podcast. We're blessed to have Alex McDowell with us today with Compass Concierge. Alex is in New York City, and Compass Concierge is a very unique program, unique to Compass, that not many, if any, other brokerages offer. But first off, tell me a little bit about yourself, Alex, and your background, and why did you decide to get into the real estate space?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I joined Compass about 5 years ago. Before that, I was working in the legal industry in an operations capacity for a legal services company, which doesn't sound too exciting. It wasn't too exciting. And I had always been interested in real estate. My mom is actually a real estate agent. Her mom was a real estate agent. It was something that I always found interesting, and then was looking for an entry point and found Compass. Compass at that time was a pretty small brokerage that operated primarily in New York City. Also had a presence in Los Angeles and San Francisco, but was about a 500-person startup at that point. And I joined, again, working in the operations team. That's kind of where my career path had led me. And my primary role when I first started was welcoming new agents. When new agents joined, I would help them transition their business over to Compass, help them get set up at Compass, help them feel comfortable with our systems, with our programs like Compass Concierge, and really, make sure that this was a soft landing for them at their new brokerage, and hopefully get them excited about the things that we're building at Compass and what we're doing.
Well, your background certainly gives you a good foundation to understand the real estate business. Having a parent that was a real estate broker, you get to see a lot and kind of get a sense for what it's like. So that's a good place to grow some empathy for what real estate brokers and the real estate industry is like. So tell us about Compass Concierge and what services does Compass Concierge provide? Yeah,
absolutely. So Compass Concierge it's a program that we launched in 2018, actually, is when we first launched it. And really, it was an idea that came from our agents. Robert Revkin, our CEO, was approached by an agent at Compass who said, "Hey, I spend a lot of my own money out of pocket paying for things like staging or paying for things, light touch-ups to properties before I get them on the market. And typically the agent would pay and then get reimbursed by their client at some later date. And it was a kind of an informal arrangement, but it helped the agent get the home on the market and get it in the best position to sell. And the agent asked Robert, would it be possible if Compass could help bear this cost? And Robert thought it was a great idea, and Compass Concierge was born. So today we do about 12,000 projects a year. We've touched over $30 billion of sales volume. And we've really refined this program to mean not just for staging. We're not just paying for painting or light touch-ups. We've really been able to develop it into a really robust customer service tool. And today you can use Compass Concierge for any aspect of selling or moving out of the home. Really, this is a tool for home sellers to use our money to help them in that transitionary period of selling and moving on to their next home, which we know there's a lot of moving parts in that process. And there's oftentimes a lot of unforeseen expenses that could come up. So Compass Concierge is a tool to help listings get ready to hit the market. It's also a tool for home sellers to lean on us and lean on Compass while they're making a transition in their life.
So it is a very unique program, Alex. I'm unaware of any other brokerage that offers it, and to have a program where you can use it to utilize it for those reasons and then no interest, and then have it come out of the proceeds at closing is is, I guess, comforting for some sellers, and that's why I would imagine it gets utilized by quite a few folks. So why would they use it? I know you described that, but obviously, there's certain specific reasons for everyone, and why would you say it's a good tool to use?
As someone who works on program, I would say everyone should use it. We could find a reason for everyone. I would say that we really see its value. Oftentimes, it's valuable in unfortunate circumstances. What I mean by that is, there's many reasons why someone might be selling their home. They might have lost their job. They might be going through a divorce. They may have had a death in the family. It might be a really stressful time in their life. And I wouldn't say this is a bulk of our projects, but we've certainly seen the true value of this program in situations such as those where someone has to sell their home. They don't have money on hand to help them move out of the home, or they don't have money on hand to get the home in any sort of position to sell. Maybe they've just inherited the home and the home is in total disrepair. So Compass Concierge is really useful in those circumstances. Outside of that, I would say that kind of the poster child use cases where we've seen really the value of it exemplified is in markets that are growing, which across the country, every market has seen huge growth in the last 12 to 24 months. But particularly in places like, Seattle, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., where home values have really increased. We found that this program is great for folks who, maybe they're downsizing, maybe they've lived in their home for 20, 30 years. Their homes have appreciated, but maybe they have not done a whole lot of work to their home, meaning, the kitchen, maybe no work's been done to it since 2005. Or, maybe the roof is 20 years old. And again, Compass Concierge is really useful in those circumstances because instead of putting it on the market as is, the seller and a Compass agent is able to come together and put together a game plan for how to really best position this home to take advantage of the increase in home prices that we've seen. And so it's really useful there. And we've seen some tremendous results in those kind of circumstances where someone has a lot of equity in the home, has lived in the home for a while, but just needs to make some nice strategic touch-ups to get the true value of it.
Can you tell us about one of your success stories that sticks out? What improvements were made to the house, and were the owners able to get more money by utilizing the program?
Absolutely. We have tons of cases like these. One that sticks out to me in particular, this was a case that took place outside of Philadelphia. It was in Pennsylvania. It was, sorry, my stuff's going off there. It was a couple that were going to be downsizing. They lived in their home for many years. Their kids were now grown. Their kids had actually told them, hey, mom, dad, don't put any money into this house. You should just sell it as is. The market's hot. You're about to retire. You need to save as much money as you can. Don't put any money into it. The Compass agent that they were working with said, you know what? I see a lot of potential in this home. It's a really beautiful home. It needs some work, but I think with Compass Concierge, we can really maximize the value. And so they used $16,000 of concierge funds. And what they did was they changed the driveway. The driveway was facing a busy street, and they used $16,000 and they changed it to face a cul-de-sac. So now the home was on a cul-de-sac. And then they did some light touch-ups. They did some landscaping. They did some exterior paint, some interior paint. They put modern light fixtures in, which I would never have guessed this before I worked on the program, but light fixtures really can change the entire feel and look of a room. And modern light fixtures, I guess, is something that buyers love. So they put some modern light fixtures in. They updated the electrical outlets, minor things like that. The driveway was the big one. They listed it for $734,000. They ended up selling it for $850,000. So they netted $119,000 or something like that above what they had listed it for. And it really had a dramatic change in their retirement plans. I mean, it allowed them to totally alter what they were going to be doing in the next stages of their life. And they were so grateful that they had listened to their agent and gone forward with the Compass Concierge. And so that case in particular, I like a lot because I think number one, the impact was huge. And number two, it really did have a real life impact. It wasn't just more money in the pockets of people. It was, but what it meant was they were able to change their next steps and alter their retirement plans based on the fact that they had received so much more money from the sale of the home, more money than they were expecting.
Yeah, great story. And they can go back to their children and say, hey, look at this.
Yeah, exactly.
In our Foothills community, Alex, Compass Concierge could be used. We have a lot of properties with well and septic. As a matter of fact, that's the majority of our properties on acreage. So it could be used for if there's a septic tank that needs to be replaced. That does happen at times. A new roof, if you need to drill a new water well. What specific processes would a homeowner go through to apply for and secure the funds to proceed with these repairs?
Yeah, it's a great question. And all those use cases are well within the wheelhouse of Compass Concierge. It's a very simple application process. It's an online application. So once you started working with a Compass agent, you need to be working with a Compass agent in order to apply. So if you're interested in the program, reach out to a Compass agent. As soon as you're working with a Compass agent, you can apply for the concierge loan. It's an online application. It takes about 5-10 minutes to fill out. What you'd be signing up for is an unsecured personal loan. That's what concierge is. And we've partnered with an independent lender who's helping underwrite those loans for us. And the turnaround time is quite fast. Once you've applied, you can be approved and receive access to the funds in as little as 24 to 48 hours. We like to say up to 3 business days, but we see most applications are approved much quicker than that. And once the client is approved and they've signed their loan documents, they're going to receive access to an online portal similar to any other online banking portal out there that'll have their account balance, their account activity, and that's where they can start initiating payments to certain vendors. So if they have, a roofer coming in, they can initiate a payment to that roofer via check, via cash. They can also pay with a debit card that we provide. So it's a very quick turnaround time. It can, as I said, as far as when someone applies and when they receive access to the funds, it can be in as little as 2 business days. And once they have access to their funds, they can start paying vendors and paying for goods.
And it has a lot to do with the value of the home, correct?
Yes.
And maybe the amount of equity they have in the house,
Yep.
and then possibly, what it's going to list for, that sort of thing. I'm sure there's a credit element that goes into it, but would you say there's more emphasis put on the value of the home and equity moving forward?
Yeah, so there's 2 primary criteria for a homeowner to be approved for the loan. The first one is equity. So this program is really designed for people who have equity in their home. It's not a program that's designed for home flippers or developers or investors who tend to not own a home very long and kind of flip it. It's really for folks who have lived in their home for a little while and have built up some equity. The guideline that we have is that the homeowner must have 2 times the amount of equity for the budget they were requesting. Meaning if they were requesting $10,000 in concierge funds, they'll need at least $20,000 of equity in their home built up. And the way that we calculate that equity is we're going to take the list price, whatever you and your agent have decided to list the home at, and we'll subtract your outstanding mortgage and subtract a little bit more to account for closing costs and commissions. And then the remainder of that is what we call the equity. So a lot of it does have to do with the list price in terms of how much money a homeowner can receive in concierge funds. If the home is listed, it's up to 5% of the list price. So that's the maximum amount that we're going to approve. So if a home is listed at $500,000, we'll approve up to $25,000 in concierge funds to help get the home ready to hit the market. So it's up to 5% of the list price. And then you touched on credit. That is the second criteria as well. We do a soft inquiry on the credit just to make sure the credit is okay. What we're looking for is decent credit or better, which is typically mid 600s or better is kind of the credit that we're aiming for. It's not a program designed for folks with poor credit.
Gotcha. Quick turnaround as well for Frog this morning.
Yes.
In your success story, Alex, you mentioned that many of the updates that that couple did were small things, not big things, light fixtures and different things. What do you think the services that they use add most value to the seller and the buyer when using Compass Concierge?
Yeah, I would say the most popular use cases by far are cleaning, painting, and staging. We have agents that every single time they get a listing, they're going to have their client apply for concierge, and they're going to use those funds to clean the house, do some painting, get the walls, get some fresh paint on there, and then stage it with some professional staging. Those are definitely our most popular. And those are, pretty light touch. There's not a lot of heavy lift that goes into that can be done really quickly. As far as, return on investment, we found that flooring is a big one. Light fixtures is a big one. Redoing hardwood floors, removing carpeting, that kind of thing. The kitchen is another area where, of course, if someone's looking for a home online and they're looking at the photos of the home and the kitchen looks really dark and dingy and out of date, it's gonna be a turnoff for any buyer these days. So the kitchen is always a popular area to address. Putting in modern light fixtures, putting in new appliances is a very popular use case, and we see a great return on that. If you have dishwasher, fridges that are 5-10 years old, any buyer who's potentially going to purchase that home kind of understands implicitly that they're going to have to purchase new appliances at some point. And so you can kind of preempt that, and you can put in brand new appliances, and that can really, add some value to the home. So those would be the big ones, I would say.
On average, Alex, what do you think one could expect percentage-wise to increase their proceeds at closing, their profit, by using Compass Concierge?
Yeah, we look at it pretty closely on our team. We try to calculate that as best we can. It's a difficult number to truly arrive at. But what we do is we look at the sales price of the home versus what it listed for. And what we find with Compass Concierge listings in Q4 of last year, it was about 8% above the ask price on average that Compass Concierge listings were selling for. This compares to all other listings in the market selling right about at ask or 1% above ask. So I would say, 8% is what we're seeing a home sell above the ask price for with Concierge. And this quarter, we'll be able to release our Q1 numbers very shortly, actually, right after Compass does its earnings call today. We've seen that number even increase a little bit more. And so I think, if you make, and it's really about what types of investments in the home you're making, because you can use the funds, as I said, in a lot of different ways. But if you and your agent are really making some smart strategic investments in the home, I think you can expect to see 8 to 10% increase in the value.
Well, that's great. And for having no interest to do those types of improvements, that's quite a plus. And how does that work, Alex, as far as the repayment? It's just comes out the proceeds at closing, right, with no interest?
Yep, that's exactly right. There's no interest. There's no application fee. There's no service fee. So this program is absolutely free to use for any Compass client. And the way it's paid back is at the closing table. So when the home is closing, there's going to be an invoice from our lender for how much money was spent from the concierge program. And then it's typically the escrow officer or attorney who is ever writing at that closing table, writing checks. As you know how that process goes, they'll write a check out to Notable to pay back the concierge fund. So it happens right at the closing table.
What do you see as the biggest mistake possibly that people make when they're trying to sell their home, maybe not using Compass Concierge, but is there anything else that sticks out?
Yeah, I think generally there's a psychology that homeowners sometimes have where they feel a little bit insulted, or they are very adamant that the way that they've designed their home and the way they've set up their home is the way that it should be. And they want to sell it like that. And they don't want to make all these changes. And, I've talked to agents who say it's sometimes difficult to have these conversations with their clients where they say, look, I know you love the bright orange carpeting in the living room and this funky couch and this artwork in here, but this is not something that's going to appeal to all buyers. And we really wanted to appeal to a broad base of people. You never know who the buyer is going to be. So I think that can be a difficult conversation about, hey, I know you love the home the way it is, but we really need to do X, Y, and Z to have it have more broad appeal. And then typically those things are, these days, it's, paint the walls white. I think white houses and white rooms, everything, it looks a little bit more modern. That's very popular these days. We have a joke on our team that, that anytime you see a concierge project, it's always, everything is white, white kitchen, white living room. Those are very popular. Hardwood floors, extremely popular. But I think those conversations can be tough to have, especially if someone is really emotionally attached to the home that they may have lived in for 20 or 30 years.
That's a great point, Alex. It is a tough conversation to have. Is you don't want to, people internalize things and take things personally, and it's not meant to be personal. you want to try to make your home look as appealing to as many buyers as you can. So that's a great point.
Yeah.
So let's see. Anything else you'd like to add, Alex?
No, I think we've covered a lot of the basics. I would say that this program is really unique. I think one of the questions that we sometimes get, and I hear from our agents when I'm talking to them, is basically, what's the catch here? How does this work? You're offering interest-free loans. It sounds a little too good to be true. We're just kind of handing out money here. And I think that's a really valid question that our agents have, and I'm sure your listeners might have, is like, what's the catch here? And I think one thing I really love about working for Compass and working on this program in particular is that a lot of the tools that we're building are really designed purely to provide a service to the client and to help our agents provide better service to their clients. And so there really is no catch with this program. Ultimately what Compass is getting at the end of the day is we're getting agents who are able to work with more clients because they're selling homes faster. And we're getting agents who have more referrals coming in because the clients are so happy from the results of Concierge that they're going out and they're telling their friends and their family and their neighbors. So I think that's, a question that some people might have listening to this is, what is the catch? And truly the catch is that we believe if we empower our agents and we empower their clients to make strategic investments in the home, it's going to lead to better outcomes, and it's going to lead to more business for Compass. And that's what we've been seeing. And it's been a really fun journey to see the program as we launched in 2018 to where it is now. As I said, we've done over $30 billion of sales volume, and we've worked with thousands and thousands of home sellers across the country.
We really appreciate your time, Alex. And since this is a Colorado lifestyle podcast, you'd mentioned earlier before we started our podcast that you've been to Colorado skiing. So what is your favorite thing about the state?
Yeah, I've been to Breckenridge a few times, been up to Snowmass, and I've hung out in Denver a little bit. I would say my favorite thing about the state is the mountains. The Rockies are incredible, world-renowned outdoor activity area. In the summer, hiking, playing golf. In the winter, obviously skiing. So I would say that is one of my favorite things. I also know that there's a ton of breweries in Denver now. My good friend who's in Denver always has new beers to tell me about and all the breweries. So no, it's an awesome state. I need to get out to Conifer and check out the foothills a little bit. I love Colorado.
Well, come visit anytime soon. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
And the best place to go, Alex, to learn more, the specifics, you've done a wonderful job of laying out the details of the program. Where would that be if folks wanted to catch you online?
Great question. Compass.com/concierge. So if you go to compass.com/concierge, the program that we talked about is called the Concierge. That'll be the best place to go. All the information about the program. You'll be able to get connected to a Compass agent there if you'd like as well. So that's the best resource, compass.com/concierge.
Thanks so much, Alex. And we'll see you in Colorado soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me, Robert. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
To the Foothills, a Colorado lifestyle and real estate podcast. On the podcast, I interview real estate experts, Colorado adventurers, and residents who enjoy the serenity and lifestyle of living in our mountain communities. Tune in each week for a conversation that explores the ins and outs of buying the perfect mountain home or selling your dream home, and catch a glimpse into the Colorado lifestyle that's a part of you.